And welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially back in session. And we are here for another guest speaker episode, and today's podcast, man, I am so excited for this one. We got a North Shore, Massachusetts legend. Please, everyone, give a warm welcome to the one and only Jon Glass. Thank you so much for being here, Jon. This is awesome. I'm so excited to have you on this podcast, man. Really.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It means a ton to be here. Also, like you said, represent the North Shore. So, there's the few of us that would still do it strongly. So happy to be here. Happy to tell my story a little bit and hopefully inspire some other people.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. So yeah, of course, for backstory, anyone that doesn't know the podcast, fans of ours that don't even know, like I'm from the North Shore originally. I'm from Danvers, and I know we were just talking off air, like your studio was in downtown Danvers for a while, which is hilarious. You're originally from Beverly, so I won't hold that against you though, because there's a little bit of a Danvers Beverly rivalry for those people that don't really know the North Shore. But it's all good, we're past that now. You know what I mean? I'm not in high school anymore. So plus you went to the prep, so it's not that bad. But
exactly.
So yeah, man. So I mean, like I said, you're a producer. You've been producing. You've been doing this for quite a while, and you were a name that I even knew like before we even really got into the podcast and really started like doing interviews in the scene. So really talk to me about like your early years in producing. Like, where'd you get your start, and like how did kind of to get you to get to like where you are now?
I mean, I've always loved production. Like always been a huge fan of music production. Always really enjoyed listening to music and just like I think I've just always been a fan of music first, and then like I my family was kind of had more of a musical background. Like my dad played like guitar and piano, and my mom took piano lessons, and my sister took piano lessons, and while they were all doing that, I was playing sports. So I never really like played too much when I was younger, and then like in 5th grade I played a little bit of drums and like had like the pad, you know what I mean, that they give you for classes back then. So I used to use that, and then like when I was in 5th grade band, and then I was the only kid in my class that could keep tempo, so they used to put me on the bass drum, just kind of hitting the big drum, and I was like, I'm kind of bored doing this, you know what I mean? And but not realizing even still like how important that was, and how it's still rhythm and just pacing patterns, how it really just it goes hand in hand with obviously production and stuff. So but I started really when I was 18. I've always loved music, but never really like knew it was possible type of thing, and never knew how to get started with like producing and doing, especially not really having like the background in it as much. And so I was away at school for my freshman year of college at Wentworth when I was 18, and then I ended up getting a cracked version of Fruity Loops, and then it was off to the races and never looked back. And so I was pretty terrible for a very long time, but it's one of those things I just kind of stuck with it. And I always told myself that until I feel like I gave everything I had, or until I felt like I wasn't progressing, that was the point where I had to kind of move on. But, luckily that's never been the case. So
it certainly has not, man. And of course, people definitely want to stay tuned for longer in this episode, because you got some big names you've worked with, and some very some notable names for sure that you've done some production with. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But no, man, I agree. Like you're not really that great at anything when you start it, right? You're not going to pick something up and be amazing at it, right? I mean, like I wasn't a good podcaster, when I started this. I still, I'm still working through things. Right, I'm on year 3, but like it's just the grind. If you love it and you're trying to find like some kind of passion in it, man, like it's always that's the drive, is to get better, the motivation, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, and you're at where you're at now. So was the first studio that you opened, was that the one in Danvers? Is that like your very first one?
Yeah. So, but prior to me actually having like a space and stuff, I used to just do everything out of my mom's house, and so. I was very lucky that my mom was very supportive of me just converting my bedroom basically into my studio. And so I would sleep on like a makeshift bedroom area, you know what I mean? I just kind of took like a living room and just kind of like threw a bed in there, and just that was kind of become my my bedroom area. But then like my bedroom itself ended up becoming the studio. So I had like all my computer stuff in there. We actually had like I didn't have a booth at the time, so I just took a bunch of blankets. I just kind of hung them around and made that work. So it's interesting, it wasn't ideal, I guess, you know what I mean? But we made it work, still. So that was like the cool part.
Of course, yeah, you definitely make it work. So then, so where was the transition for you? Like, where were you like, okay, like I want to actually get a space for this, and how did like, because you
I
were right,
think
like you were right by the fire station in Danvers, right? Like right
Yeah,
downtown.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Right now, it was used to be called the Better Business Building, and so like the whole building was filled with like other spaces and stuff,
Right,
and which I
right.
mean, which was cool because like so there's a lot of people. There was a karate school upstairs. There was screen printers. There were other musicians and stuff too. There's actually a piano class that was right above me, and so yeah, I think like at some point my mom was being super awesome with like letting me do what I did at the house, but I think at some point she was like, all right, like we need to find you got to find a place to make it's great. I love it, but at this point it's time to move on, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky to find a space in that basement unit basically of the Better Business Building in Danvers. I looked at a bunch of different spots nearby to see what we could find, and that was like ended up being like the best one that for at the time. And basically it was like a glorified storage unit. Like the walls were like literally like this thin, like
wow.
and so it was tough at first, I guess, trying to figure out how we were going to make it work with everything because
Yeah.
of the sound and the loudness. So I ended up like spending a lot of money just kind of getting the space like to a point where I could be sufficient without having to bother my neighbors. So that's when I kind of invested into like a sound booth, which I got was like a whisper room, which is great. It's again, I always looked at it as like investing in myself, investing into
Definitely.
into the things I believed in. And so it wasn't cheap, but again, like it was worth it because I still have the whisper room to this day. I can like break it down and build it back up and like bring it with me anywhere I want to go for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And then like also it just like make sure that it was a good environment there. So like got shelving units for all my records. I have the plethora of records here, and
Yep.
and I took everything again out of my mother's house and was able to set everything up here. We got drums, guitars, and the full mic setup, everything we needed to produce and have a little studio to start. So
It's fantastic.
it's beautiful.
I love it. Yeah, that's probably the toughest part is trying to figure out like the proper acoustics and everything like that in a space like that. I feel like
Absolutely.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
definitely super hard because like especially with the wall so thin and the neighbors and stuff, like I ended up finding out like there was certain things I couldn't do as much during the day, and that ended up becoming more of a nighttime thing because there was less people there. Like the blast businesses would usually leave at like 6 p.m. for the day, so I'd have it like all night, you know what I mean, till like 6 in the morning and till when the first business would come in. So like I
Right.
could just be there for like overnights basically and just be working constantly. So that was great. I kind of learned to make my schedule around their schedule. So it was cool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like you said, you just make it work, right? You're a grinder. I love that, and I've noticed that about you as I've done my research on you. You give off that aura of like you're just a grinder, and I appreciate that a lot about you because I'm a grinder too. So I think that's a lot of a lot of when you're starting off in something like that, and you're trying to make a make your ends meet with it. That's amazing. You're able to create that space for you. And shout out B Leafs, who's just got done doing a little Beats with B Leafs tutorial with us, and he's come on the podcast many times, and he's helped us out a lot. And he's telling me some stories about that studio as well. So
Absolutely.
it was
We
cool
had
to
some
hear
of our
that.
first ever beat auctions there, and B Leafs came through for a couple of those. We were hoping to kind of turn that into like more of like a series, and hoping to have him come back to do some future stuff, and his buddy Jack as well, who was a really dope instrumentalist.
Yeah.
And so like it's definitely like one of the other things too with the studio. I always wanted to make it feel like a home base for the North Shore, like making sure like I love having other people by even in other sessions. Like I feel like having good creative energy around you is important. So I love having like obviously like you got to be careful with it too, because some people are very private and they want to be able to create on their own, but so other people, it's like I love having other energies there, like being able to provide atmosphere and charisma to the sessions, you know what I mean? Like having other
sure.
people around sometimes adds to the songs, you know what I mean, and to the
Absolutely.
actual delivery of the music. So I've always felt that was important to not just have a space for music, but a safe space for creatives to come and feel comfortable,
Yeah, yeah, and the collaboration's so key. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah.
where you get a lot of inspiration. Absolutely. I mean, I even if people are a little bit like introverted into themselves with their creation, like I just feel like eventually at some point in time you're gonna need somebody else, right, to help at least just to bounce ideas off of, right? Like I mean,
It helps a
yeah.
lot, like because again it's like I love having a second ear on things. Being creative, you're so close to the products you work on that sometimes you obsess over them to a point where you almost become your own detriment. You know what I mean?
1,000%,
Because you're too close and you can almost lose the clear vision of everything throughout the process. So it's good having other people around to bounce ideas off of, have a second opinion, have a second ear on it, because just giving someone like a buddy of mine used to from Phoenix down, John Scott. He's an incredible engineer out of Mass. He once told me, he's like, I could give a mix I've been working on for a day to someone with a fresh ear, and in 5 minutes they'll tell me what's wrong with it, whereas I'm trying to figure it out for 2 days. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like, but just having that that clarity of that that fresh ear will sometimes give you a different perspective that you didn't see because you're so close.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I agree. It's same thing with me. Like, that's why I have a team behind me, because it's like people on my team. Shout out my producer Sam, and my co-host Phoenix Rios, like, and everyone else that's associated with the podcast. I mean, they check me as well and give me pointers and tips. Like, they're not just you need those people, I think, in your circle, or like people that in your creative space that won't just be like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. You know what I mean? Like, are actually going to give you like, or that's
no yes men.
Like,
no yes men.
No. Like, constructive feedback is like, I love that. That's like the best thing for, like, that's how you have the right people around you, when they're giving you like the proper constructive feedback.
It's so necessary, especially in this in any creative field, honestly, because when creativity starts becoming I'm trying to think of the best word, when people start, I guess, showing appreciation for creativity based on clout and not based on the actual art itself, that's when there's a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I do.
like, we've always been really big about, even with when I was doing stuff in my mom's house, that we were always big at, like, if it leaves these walls, like, that means it's good enough. You know what I mean? Because we're so hard on ourselves to make sure that the quality of the work is so great that it's not going to leave these walls till we feel it's good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that was always something so important. Like, we would record 30 songs, but maybe 1 or 2 of them would come out. You know what I mean? But like, that's like kind of like I got that from like Dre and stuff, like listening to him and hearing him talk about music. Like, they'd be making an album and cutting 300 songs for a 16-track album, to anyone else, you'd be like, that's absurd. You know what I mean? But it's like sometimes you need to make a lot of crappy music in order for the good ones to shine. And you got to experiment and try stuff too, because you don't want to make the same song over and over again. So it's like, it's finding ways to keep developing new creative habits, and just new instances that you can shine on.
Yeah,
and having yes men will mess that all up. You know what I mean?
For sure. No, I love what you just said too, like reinventing yourself and like reinventing your sound, right? Like, that's like not just staying. I mean, again, like there are artists that have like their staple sound, right? Like the sound that they're known for or whatever. But I love the artists specifically like that really push boundaries and like try new things and really reinvent themselves, and
you grow with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like that's I think some of the best part of music too. Like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely some artists where you're like, man, I just love like their old stuff. You know what I mean? I love, like, but then Jay-Z's like, if you like my old stuff, buy my old album. You know what I mean? So it's like as an artist or as a creative person, you're supposed to grow. You know what I mean? You're supposed to evolve. Mac Miller's trajectory to me was was an incredible one to watch. Outkast, I see them on your wall in the back.
You bet, yeah, absolutely.
Like, incredible. You know what I mean? To that, and like Childish Gambino, another one. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are artists in the purest sense. You know what I mean? Where they just let their artistry take over and take them down different lanes that keeps you guessing as a listener, which I think is special.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, we even it's funny you bringing all this up, because we actually talked about this last week with Jordan Never Died, who's another producer, a Massachusetts-based producer, Boston specifically. But yeah, we talked about Gambino, like this "Awaken My Love" project. Like, oh my, like how different that was than anything he had done. And same thing.
And it was amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was he brought that like psychedelic like funk back into like the mainstream, like like a song like Redbone. Like I couldn't believe it was like could be made in the 2010s, like a song like that. You know what I mean? It just blew me away. It was like what was actually my favorite song of the decade. I did like a blog where I did my top 50 songs of the decade, and Redbone was like number one because it was just so good for me. And Outkast,
it's for the soul. It kind of feeds all the senses. You know what I mean? Like, you listen to a song like that, and it's like there's something special with music like that too. It's like you can play that for anybody, and most people will understand and respect it and appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so there's something dope about making universal music too. It's like, it's definitely something dope about making stuff that's niche, but like when you can make something that you could feel proud of, that the whole world can respond to, like that's dope,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like you said, artists like Outkast, they reinvented their sound. Tyler, the Creator's another one. He's kind of he's had another like similar, like you said, like Jay-Z, like if you want my old stuff, buy my old albums. Like Tyler has said similar sentiments. So I love that. Mac Miller's another one too. Like what he was able to do with his sound throughout his career was, and of course, rest in peace, Mac. But like, what an amazing musical journey for that man. Like,
totally. And once he started singing, it just opened him up to a whole different element and sonically, and it was just so cool, like hearing him progress in that manner. You know what I mean? Like he came up as like a boom bap. You know what I mean? Like background, and like that's how I started. I started literally just, making like 90s beats and like, stuff that inspired me, like stuff inspired but like by Dre and Kanye and Ninth and Pete Rock and DJ Premier and like Alchemist, and like that's kind of was my vibe to start. But then like you kind of figure it out, and then you kind of you go down your own path eventually. I think Evidence says he had this great quote where he talks about how I think the first thing you do is the first part of creating is like emulation, or I think and then it comes innovation afterwards. So it's like you have to start by like recreating stuff that you're familiar with, then you almost borderline copy, and then you're experimenting, and then all of a sudden you innovate, and then you kind of seek beyond that. So it's like there's like 3 stages essentially. I'm definitely butchering it, but the sentiment's there.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's all right. You paraphrase it. It's fine. But that's kind of like, I mean, it's what music is. It's paraphrasing, if anything. Like a lot of the times, like, I mean, there are people that invent new sounds, but you're always it's kind of a recycling and sort of like you said, an innovation of different sounds a lot of the time. And
that's why I love sampling, because it's like you bring a new life to an older record. You know what I mean? And like it almost you give people a chance to learn it all over again, and then it's like dope. Like you all of a sudden that new song comes out, and then the old song is it starts buzzing again. You know what I mean? So it's like it's really cool. Music always goes in circles. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did that with Kanye as well, because I remember, like, I was only a kid when College Dropout came out, but that's like that. I have that somewhere up here. Oh, yep, right there. And then Love Below, Speaker Box Love Below, like those were probably like the 2 albums that I like first bought when I was like 10 years old, and I'll never forget listening to Through the Wire by Kanye, the very first song he like ever dropped, and I was amazed with it. And I remember I was listening to it with my mom, and she was like, "Oh, he like redid a song." I'm like, "Oh, what?" So I went back and listened to Shaka Khan's Through the Fire, and I'm like, "Wait, this came before?" Like I was confused. I didn't understand. At first, I'm like, "Oh, she must have copied Kanye," and I'm like, "Nah." Like it's the other way around. But it's so cool when you're able to like, and I love that Through the Fire song by Shaka Khan, right? So it's like,
and that's what's cool too. It's like you hear the Kanye one, and then it makes you want to go back and listen to the other one. To be like, "Oh, what did he do?" Like I'm also curious how he did that and turned that into that, or it's like, oh, even like what Shaka's saying is fire too. So it's like you almost like you end up like loving both versions for differently. It's like it's and I just as a creative too, like I just love seeing the process of like you started with that and then you made it into this. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? That was for me like this. I love breaking stuff down and like seeing like how it's made and stuff like that, and like learning all the ins and outs, and that blew my mind. I was like, this is so cool,
Yeah, and I'm sure for you, like being a producer yourself, like you're all like in that bag, like 1000%, like in that mindset, constantly thinking about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there used to be this guy, Boondock. He's go by, I think he goes by Booney Mayfield now. Okay. This dude I used to watch on YouTube like 2005, 2006, and he'd be making beats on his MPC 1000, and I remember seeing him like take a sample, like just a regular loop, and then all of a sudden all that loop was like played out, like was like in segments across these pads, and I was like, what is that? Like just like bewildered, like what is going on? Like how did he do that? And then from that point I was like, I need that machine. And then I got a Guitar Center credit card, and then that summer and bought. That was the first thing I bought, and then again the same thing, like never look back. Like it was just like on and upward, just
absolutely. That's amazing. I love that. And also, for anyone that doesn't know, like I love Evidence too. By the way, he's an artist that not a lot of people talk about. I think enough.
I think he's incredible. Not only as an artist, but as a producer, as a creative in general, and as a human. He just is a dope human being too. So shout out to Evidence, and he's definitely inspired me beyond music. So I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, I loved some of his stuff. He had his album like 2 years ago. The name of it now is kind of escaping me, but there was a song on there that I could not get enough of. I love. He's a dope guy. I really enjoy his music,
awesome
for sure. But so now like you've now have a new studio in Beverly, is that correct? It's called New Glasshouse Studios. So tell me about like what was the transition from Danvers to Beverly, and talk about the new studio that you're in now. The new space.
So basically like the studio we had in Danvers was great. It was fun while it lasted. And then all of a sudden, they converted the building into apartments. So they were like, everyone's got to go. So we were like, oh shit. So we were like, all right, let's get out of here. So we ended up having to figure out what the next move would be, and I wasn't 100% yet of what was going to happen, where it was going to go, and everything. But we started looking for spots. My landlord at the old spot ended up having another space in Beverly for us to check out, and so we went over and looked, and it's like a garage unit, you know what I mean? But like, my other spot was like a storage unit, so it was like, so this was like a little bigger. Yeah, it was like, exactly, it's a notch up.
Just a notch up, yeah.
And this one had like, this spot we had a built-in bathroom. The garage is sick because like in the summer we just open up the door and just like get the outside energy and stuff to come in, and honestly it's been great. Like with the old spot too, we had a lot of neighbors, and so we had to be weary of extracurriculars and also sound and things like that. And here it's like all the neighbors have been amazing. One of the guys to the right actually builds like tiny houses and custom motor homes that like people can like live in and like live off grid in and stuff like that. That's so he's dope. Like, it's really cool. And then everyone's been really supportive of the music and stuff. And we're right across from the Beverly Depot train station, which is like people. Okay. I have friends come in from New York and Pennsylvania, and they'll literally take the train and get off at the take off at South Station, go to North Station, take the purple line right to Beverly, and just walk across the street, and you're at the studio. So you don't even have to. You can go through multiple states to get here, which is sick too. So
that's really cool.
Location's great. Like when I used to be in Danvers, I used to pick up people at the train in Beverly and bring them. And so like this saves a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, I mean? So, yeah, absolutely.
So it's great.
The convenience is awesome for that. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Oh, it's so convenient. So and the food in Beverly is amazing. I love food. So like I was starting to get sick of downtown Danvers food all the time because I ate that for 4 or 5 years straight, you know what I mean, almost every day. So now I'm starting to enjoy like the Beverly food area and stuff, and it's just been dope. Like we have a lot of freedom here, a lot of privacy, but also it's like our little nook, and we're right by the water, which I love. I always love being near water. It's just I feel like the creativity just is always on point when you're by bodies of water. Just the energy that you get, and I don't know if you're familiar, but there was this amazing documentary called Muscle Shoals, a music documentary. It's about this studio that used to be, I believe, in Alabama, and it was right by the water. And they said that this most amazing music used to be created in this area, and they used to say because they had this woman of the water that would sing these melodies, and then the people that would come to work at the studio would be inspired, and they would hear these subconscious things that coming from the water and from the woman of the water that would sing, and it would help breed energy into their creations. And so I always found that to be a beautiful notion, and I just love being by water because of that.
That's interesting. I think even just from like I agree with that sentiment. I've never heard of that documentary, but I'm now kind of curious. And there is something I think with just nature in general. Like I'm a huge hiker. I love hiking. Yeah. And it's really good. It's been amazing for my mental health. Like it's my allergy season now, so I'm not going up there quite yet. But yeah, not to sound like a bitch, but
I trust me. Allergies are nothing to bitch about. Those are serious deals. They mess me up every spring, so I feel you.
Oh yeah, like from now until probably like Memorial Day weekend, I'm like I don't know if people even hear it in my voice right now. Like our normal listeners are probably like, he sounds sick. I'm good. I'm no COVID. I got the vax. I'm all set. It's just spring allergies. But I am a huge hiker. Like I even just the outdoors, right? I mean, there's just. And that's what I love about New England, I think, is just because you have that you have the luxury of having the mountains, the water, and city. Like you have all three of those elements like 100%. Within like an hour-ish drive. You know what I mean? Like you can hit all of that. I mean, you can do that out in the West Coast too, but I don't know. There's something about spring and summertime in New England, fall as well, of course.
You get the seasons too, like you said, like you don't really necessarily always get that out west, whereas here you really get the seasons. You get those cold months, you get the hot months, and you get everything in between. And like you said, nature's huge. Like being like I've really, especially with the year over this last year, I've really tried to adopt a lot of new good habits and things that I think that will be more helpful in the long run. And so like I've been learning a lot about like grounding and things like that. We're just I'm always big on being barefoot, and it's like walking out into the grass with your bare feet and being more connected with nature and the energy of the earth. And it sounds corny to some extent, but I really believe that energy is huge part of life, and that like
absolutely.
How you transfer and absorb it is a lot has to do with how your day goes.
I completely agree. And like, yeah, like I said, there's nature. It's like, grounding's a great word for it. Like, it's very, I just get a lot of mindfulness from being out there. Like, I feel refreshed, recharged, like, and it's great because you can just unplug. Like, I love just, I mean, sometimes I bring friends or people or whoever, like, wants to come, but a lot of times I go by myself, man. And I just like being out there. Like, I just, I'll get up in the morning, go out there for a day and drive back. And it's just like, I feel so good after I do that. Like, we're just refreshed, rejuvenated, like ready to just kind of, and then it makes it like refocuses me too. Cause I think like, in what we do, I think, creatively, whether you're talking podcasting or producing and music and things like that, I think there's an element of like getting lost in that, like even too much sometimes, you know what I mean? And
always.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
it's
good to
have
something
the balance
else so you can come back and feel even better,
Yeah, the balance is so important, I think, in a lot of ways like that. So I totally agree. That's really interesting. But I'm glad that you guys are now in a space where you feel like you're thriving a little bit, and it's like you said, it's a step up in a lot of ways. Whether it's just the physical space and also the energy as well, and the convenience. It sounds like an amazing spot, man.
Absolutely. And the same thing here, like I love having a place that people can just come and meet other creatives and bond and we every year I've always done a studio party for Memorial Day for my birthday, and we used to have tons of people stop by, and since we've been here it's been great because we have the outdoor indoor setup, so it was sick like to have people outside, have people inside, and again it's just such a great environment just for creative people and just positive like-minded people. So it's like I'm grateful to have it and happy that I'm able to hopefully have a space that other people can come and feel that energy and inspire them.
No doubt about that. I love it, man. So the New Glass Studios, definitely. Any local artists, definitely hit up this band. Check it out if you're trying to get in on the energy and stuff like that. And I'm excited, man, to see what comes of it. What you guys have been doing. I know you guys got a lot of art, music that you've been making over your career. I love that. I think too, like you have a very good variety of artists you've worked with. Whether it's M. who is also a Turntable Teachers alumni. He's been on the show before. Big shout out to him.
Oh, dope! Actually, he was just here earlier as well. He's coming by after too, so that's dope. Small.
No, that's my tell him I said hello because we chat often. He's a great guy. I love M. so much. And another guy that's getting into his producing bag. He sends me beats all the time, and I'm like, bro, you got to do something with these. Like
he actually just rapped on one of his beats for the first time today, which is dope.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. You've worked with other artists too. You've worked with Suriel, who's coming on the show pretty soon. If you've gotten this far, that's a little spoiler alert or upcoming thing. We got Suriel coming very soon, so make sure you check that out. Little sneak peek. Termanology, who's a huge artist out in Massachusetts, like underground. If anyone knows underground hip hop. Sheek Louch, who is I couldn't believe you worked with him, and of course Tokens. So tell me about like some of the collaborations you've done with these artists. I'm probably missing a lot as well, like that you've done.
That's all right. No, you got a lot of the good ones.
Got a lot of good ones for sure.
I mean, like collaboration's huge. I think that is the best thing that anybody can do. You know what I mean? Whether at any field, I think collaborating or aligning with other like-minded people is priceless. And honestly, that's going to extend more opportunities for you and the people around you, And I'm a big believer of, like, you don't have to do everything yourself. Like, sometimes you can delegate, And that's why, like, recently over the last few years, I've been very lucky to work with some incredible musicians and co-producers and just great friends along the way that have, like, been amazing. Like, right now, we have a great production group. It's myself and Melks and Eddie Random. We have a group called The Squad, which we do. It's like our production super team. And then we have No Mas Free, which is run by Melks and I as well. And that's like our parent company. So basically, like, No Mas Free is kind of like where we host all of our sample packs and our merch and things like that. And then The Squad is like the actual group. But like it's dope because like that was one of the first groups production wise I've ever been a part of. Actually, it is the only production group I've ever really been a part of. Whereas before we even got together, we've all been part of groups. We've all like done stuff before with like artists and stuff. But before we even started to really like lock in as a threesome or whatever, we wanted to make sure that we all had like-mindedness on like the same page, not just from the music side, but from the business side. And like, because if you're not on the same page, it's going to be a harder, uphill battle with stuff. So that was important to us. So we were all on the same page. We all had kind of a lot of the same values. And from there, then the creativity comes easy. You know what I mean? Because if we're always all thinking about the positive stuff and how we can do things and become better, then the music's just going to only get better. You know what I mean? So collaborating with them has been amazing. Like, I've learned so much from Melks and Eddie and vice versa. Like, we constantly pushing each other, trying to help each other grow. But, you know, everyone has like their own style, you know, like Melks is really dope with synths and melodies and like these big like compositions and stuff. Eddie's really great with textures and sonics. And he's got a kind of a darker sound, but he's also really great at composing samples and stuff now too, which is where he also taps into some of the soulful stuff. And then I come from like a more like soulful background as well, and like you know, offered just like a lot of different things when it comes to like arrangements and producing and stuff like that. And so it's like we all kind of like build off each other and we all learn from each other. And so that was kind of the start of that. But then now it's like we work with so many people like you know, we've been lucky to do some great things out in New York through a company called Steel Sessions, run by some great guys out there over at Engine Room. Jeff over at V1 Productions, also Buddha and Grants, Mike Cuz, just incredible group of guys. They used to have like these awesome workshops in New York. We could go and meet other producers and play music and network and stuff. And honestly, like that, the bond that a lot of people that we all made with like the people there was incredible. Just genuine, great people, all super similar with as far as like goals and passions. And to this day, we all still stay in, like most of us all still stay in touch, and like met some really great friends there and collaborators. We all still work on music and stuff. And so that's been beautiful. My homie Kev, who I met through there, we've done tons of music together with an artist that he works closely with named Annalise. He's also getting ready to release an instrumental album coming out in May that we helped produce some songs on, myself and Thomas. Thomas is also too. Tiba is one of my favorite people in the world and also like an amazing collaborator. Super talented musician, but also just incredible producer in his own right too. Vinyl Villain's another homie of mine I work very closely with. Wicked dope. And it's again like everyone has their own styles and influence. So it's like when we collab, it's like it's like if you do A and I do B, we're gonna make C. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not gonna make A or B. It's like we're gonna make something totally different. You know what I mean? So it's like that's what's dope. It's like my homie Aziz, who we met over this last year, he's actually a New Hampshire Mass native. I think he's more New Hampshire, but he lives in LA now. And Aziz the Sheik.
Yeah, he's so. Yeah. Well, here's another spoiler. He's coming on very soon too. He's going to be he's going to be probably right after Suriel.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that because Aziz is the man. That's like he's one of my favorite people that like on over the last year that we got to connect with, and like just such a good dude. And just again, like we got able to get up when he came back in town in September, and just like again, just like good energy, just a good, you know, transparency, positive shit, like, and it's just dope. Like he's been sending stuff to people that we work with and vice versa, and we've been trying to, you know, bridge the gaps and stuff. And like, so we've been doing a ton of work recently on the production side and stuff. We also did a couple records last May, and so it's just awesome, man. I feel like too with like just the Mass scene in general, it's funny, like we'll go out to LA and meet more people from Mass than you'll meet, you know what I mean, than even from LA. So it's just like, it's just funny, but I feel like that's kind of a good thing too, because like Mass has got so much talent that people have no idea about. Exactly. And it's only getting bigger and better. And I think the scenes get just coming together even more. So it's like, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think at the time we're in right now is special.
I agree.
And collaborating is everything when it comes to that, because like there's been so many amazing people that we've been able to work with through collaboration that maybe wouldn't have happened if we're just trying to do it ourselves, you know?
Oh, for sure, man. The collaboration. So I mean, for us too, like I 1,000% agree. Like we feel like we're in a good time with Massachusetts, just because there is, like I said, I think this might be the Massachusetts and New England's time to really like hopefully get everybody in the map. Like that's why we take what we do very seriously, because you know, we recognize how much talent. And it's funny because like I've grew up in Massachusetts my whole life, and up until the last 2 years, outside of like Millie's, Joyner Lucas, Cousin Stiz, I didn't understand the scene, like the scene that we had. I mean, you were a name that I had known. I knew M. Dot, but like Termanology, Rex, those were like some names I had heard and like heard some songs from. But like, oh my God, there's just so many artists, so much talent that we have here. That's just unbelievable. It's funny you actually mentioned that about LA, because we had Johan Lennox on a couple of weeks ago.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
Oh my God, that dude, like, shout out to Johan Lennox. Like, what he's been able to do is just it blows my mind. That was one of my favorite episodes of our podcast, just because of the gems he was dropping, the people he's met. But he was telling me a story about he said it's right out, I think it's out in Burbank. There's a bunch of Massachusetts people that get together. They have like a studio, whatever. They all work together, like Lil Rich and Aziz the Sheik. And And I guess they call it like Los Angeles. It's like a joke. He says, but it's pretty funny that like because they're all kind of from around here. But
no, and that's what's great. And Aziz has told me like he really wanted to make that space like a haven for people when they come from Mass, like they can feel like, you know, they haven't left, but then they're on the West Coast. You know what I mean? It's a place where people can go and feel comfortable to truly, again, be themselves and create and have a great atmosphere and a comfortable atmosphere without feeling like any of the weird LA vibes. You know what I mean? And sometimes there's
the
that
politics,
like some of that extra shit. You know, but that's what's dope about those guys, because they're great, genuine people, and you feel that when you're around them. And so by being in that creative space, I'm sure it's no different. You know, so I love that. You know what I mean? I think that shit's so dope. And like you said, Johan, crazy. I just was made familiar of him this past year, and incredibly dope, like his work, and just a really solid dude too. Very humble, very genuine with his conversation and shit. So shout out to him for sure.
Absolutely. If you haven't heard that episode on our podcast, after this one, of course, don't jump from this one yet. We got plenty more left with Jon Glass, but after this one, definitely go check out Johan Lennox's episode, because like it'll blow your mind. Trust me. Like the things that he's done, and his resume speaks for itself, and his talent speaks for itself. So absolutely, dude. Just like the most humble dude ever. Like didn't big time me whatsoever. Like just like was so just like over appreciative, and when we even still talk to this day. He's gonna come back on soon when his project drops, and he's just such a great human being. And like I'm just glad that, you know, there's a scene here where everybody's just trying to help each other out and be supportive.
That's it.
And that's
it. It's like, and again, it's not like, and it's just about like what can someone do to maybe help along the way, you know what I mean? And like just like bridge a gap, or just you have no idea what this little things can go so far. Like just telling a friend like, yo, this person's dope, or hey, yo, you should check this thing out, or yo, have you heard this song from this person? Like this is ill. Like those little things go so long and like go so far, and they could help so much, man. And like nothing with Johan too, which I think is really dope with his story, is like he kind of shows you that there's different ways of achieving your goals, and you can kind of create your own way, you know, like what he did with like the symphony and stuff like that, and the electronic symphony and that like
the Beethoven,
Beethoven, like that was so dope, because like he created something so unique, so special for him, and then look what it did, you know what I mean? And it got the attention of all of the people you'd want to get the attention of. So it's
No ID and Mike Dean and all those. Yeah, Vic Mensa, Kanye. I mean, it's amazing. And one thing he did that I absolutely loved, like I tell him all the time, like he did it on Twitter recently too, but he did it on Instagram. He did a post where he wrote this blurb. He's like, hey, if you're a creative and you're like an indie creative looking to like collaborate with people, like leave a comment and like drop a comment and like go through people and like see if like you find somebody that you can like collaborate with that is like on the same wavelength as you. Like I love stuff like that. I was like, him to take the time to like do something like that, and just like using his platform to like allow other people to cross collaborate and bridge that, like you mentioned earlier, like bridge those gaps. Like it's just a testament to like, again, his humbleness, but also just like that is the goal though. You're absolutely right. Like that's what we want to do. Like that's, you know, and that's it's just a beautiful thing to see, to witness and see
unity.
Not even just Johan, like a lot of people in the scene are doing this. So I love that. I really do.
But more than ever, Mass, I think, is tighter than it's ever been. Like, and I feel like it's like one of those things. Whereas like in years past, like you mentioned, like a lot of names like M. Dot and Termanology, like those are kind of like. Those are the guys that helped define the Boston scene at one point. You know what I mean? And now, like, there's still integral parts of the scene, but it's dope because now there's so many different pockets of different sounds. Like, before, Boston used to be known as, like, we kind of, like, adopted the New York sound. Now you can't even say that. Like, Mass has literally its own sound. Like, you got guys like Van Buren. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with them from Brockton.
Oh, of course. We had Lord Felix is another guy we've had on the show. He's a Turntable Teachers alum. Yep.
Incredible. Like, I think I love what they're doing. I love how they move as a unit. I love their branding. I love how they represent themselves. I love everything, their visuals, their graphics, and they're just good people. Like Absolutely. I don't know, I haven't met all of them personally, but from the guys who I have met, like Luke Bars and Giles, they've all been super genuine and you know, just really good dudes, and like those are people that you just want to root for. You know what I mean? You want to keep seeing them do well. So it's just dope. Like you see like Aziz puts out the song, and you know everyone, like, you know, you'll see all these other mass homies get behind it, like Stiz and Van Buren. Like it's just dope to, like, Johan, all these guys just seeing, like, supporting one another. Like Super Smash Brothers are some other guys who are amazing out here and doing some really dope stuff. And like it's just ill. Like and what's cool too is like now everyone's collaborating and stuff too. Now it's like, you know, we've done a couple joints with the Super Smash Bros, and like, well, we've done you know, it's dope, like, you know, just again bridging those gaps and just like making tracks together and just, you know, working on stuff, and like knowing like everyone provides something different. Like their sound is way different from my sound, so it's like when we do something together, it's like we can do something that's different for both of us, and like that's how you create new genres and push the envelope, you know?
Right. You're gonna make A all day, and they're gonna make B all day, but you'll never get to that C unless you guys get to, like you said, get together. And like
100%.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, agreed on the Van Buren thing. Like Giles is someone I've gone back and forth with in DMs for sure. I mean, Felix was up in here like when we were doing live interviews in person before, you know, whole COVID thing. Like he came up in here, like was just a gracious human being, like somebody that I've definitely like appreciated his signatures on the wall. I'm gonna actually move
Fire.
it. It's right there actually. If you can't really see it too well, but his signatures on the wall. We had people like, you know, signing the wall and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the Bad for Press album, if you guys haven't listened to that,
so good.
Go check that thing out. Like
their music videos too are fire. Like visuals. They just kill it, yo.
The promo they did for it too was genius. I thought it was hilarious.
It was awesome. Like again,
awesome.
they knock it all out the park, yo. Like they really do. They do everything right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Really
they just do it all right, yo.
Yeah.
And they kill it on every level.
Yeah, I liken them to, like, and of course not like sonically, definitely not, but I liken them to, because I'm a huge Brockhampton fan. Like I see them as like New England's version of Brockhampton, because they have like not comparing them by any stretch, but just like the fact
but
they have so many
the
different
ASAP Mob vibe of like
ASAP Mob too,
and they move as a unit. You know what I mean? So I totally understand that analogy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's where it's like I love to see it too. It's like these you see, like, you start hearing these conglomerates. You know what I mean? Like you hear the TDE and Dreamville. Like you hear these label movements. And Van Buren to me is like someone. A group that could fit that, you know what I mean? Fit within that, you know?
Definitely, 1000%. And yeah, no. So like I said, shout out to everybody. I mean, whoever we didn't mention, but
there's so many. There's so many, man.
Many.
Like, and so if anyone was left out, no, it's never personal. But there's just so many people, and just know that we're rooting for all y'all for sure. You know what I mean? I think there's so much talent in mass. I'm constantly always reaching out to people, just saying, you know, just trying to give them words of encouragement. You know, just, you know, let people know that they're dope, because sometimes it's tough, you know, when you're kind of working in your closed little habitats, you know what I mean? And it feels good to hear people, you know, say that they appreciate you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always think it's good to let people know that you love them and you appreciate them or their work that they do, you know, especially while they're still here.
Absolutely. And you never know like what type of energy that's going to give someone, like
totally.
that, like the motivational energy that could give somebody, and so that type of recognition. 1000%, man. So you're saying a lot of great things. I completely agree. And yeah, so tell me a little bit about like some of your favorite collaborations you've done. Because like I said, I know you work with a plethora of different people. So like if you were to pick like a handful of like these are some unbelievable collaborations that you've done, like what are the ones that maybe stand out to you the most?
There's so many. Like honestly, like a lot of my favorite stuff, a lot of my favorite music I've ever made is done through, you know, collaborating. You know what I mean? I feel like collaborating makes me a better everything. You know what I mean? Makes me a better human, makes me a better creator, makes me more learn more just about people in general. You know what I mean? Because you're just around other people. You got to have that happy medium, and like, you know, your ego has to come out of it when you're collaborating. The ego when making music should always be the biggest ego in the room. Should always be the music, and that's a Terrence Martin quote that we heard once, and that's always stuck with me, because it's Terrence like. Martin. You know, especially collaborating, like you have to be open to things. You can't, and you know, you might have an idea, but if you can't, it's important to also be open to other people's ideas too. So, the Sheek Louch song was super dope to me, because that was like a sample me and my homie Sharp made, and Dazel, who's Sheek's producer and engineer. We've met at D Block a few times in the past, like him and Poobs and a few of the other guys there, and they've always welcomed us with open arms and always made us feel at home there. And so the relationship with those guys has been amazing over the years. And so Dazel was just starting to get into like sample packs, and because he was like, he's used to playing stuff on his own or sampling and stuff, like off records. And he asked me about if I had anything, like, because he knows that we were starting to do some stuff with Splice and with Kato and those guys through his channel. And so like he had asked me if I had anything, and so we sent over some packs and shit, and he really liked one of them, and it was so dope. The beat came out so perfect, and like, and not, but it's like one of those things where like when you get an opportunity to work with an artist that you really like and that you've listened to over the years, and that you know their music, like what they love, like it's that much more rewarding when you genuinely love the song, and the song is something that even if you weren't even a part of it, it's something you probably listen to. And that's like how I felt about that one. You know what I mean? It was like,
sure.
Hearing that song, hearing the beat that Dazel made with the sample was like, this is like such a Lox vibe, and like and his chorus and the verses are just like that Sheek, like that's the Sheek I loved listening to in high school, listening to like the Year of the Wolf and like all his old mixtapes and like After Taxes and like crazy albums like that. And like, so like when they made that record, like, and I got to hear it, I was like, man, this is awesome. Cause it's like, again, it's like you might have an opportunity to work with artists, but they might not always make the song, or you might not always be able to contribute to making the song that you think is great. You know what I mean? So sometimes that could be tough, where it's like, yeah, you might have gotten a song with that artist, but is it the song that you feel is the best representation of your work together? I don't know, so it's like that one meant a lot to me, because it was like, whether I was involved in it or not, I would listen to this, you know what I'm saying? And like as a fan, and so like that was dope,
That's
so
really
like
cool.
Stuff like that is so ill to me. Another dope collaboration was we had a friend that we met on tour in the UK named Billy. Super dope human being. She manages an artist out of the UK named Maya Craig, and she also helps out with a lot of she's kind of like the UK liaison for a lot of American artists that come in. So she kind of helps out and makes people feel welcome, and helps with like anything that people need when they come from the from across the pond and stuff. So but we were lucky and fortunate enough to meet back in like 2016 or so. Stayed in touch for years, and it's like they said the seed you plant today isn't gonna flower overnight, you know what I mean, or isn't gonna blossom overnight. And so like you got to be, I'm a big believer things happen when they're supposed to. Making sure that your relationships are organic and genuine. You're not like you could feel when something's fake. You know what I mean? So that's always been super important to me. It's especially because I love what I do. So it's like I never want to fake the funk and like put myself in a position that I can't do what I love to do ever again. So it's like I'm always trying to lead with my just genuineness, and so like we've stayed in touch for years, and her artist Maya was getting ready to put out a project, and she was looking for some production. And so like I was never a thing where like over even the years we never forced it on each other and stuff like that, but just a time came and she was like, hey, like let's see if we can do something, you know what I mean? So we started working on a couple records. We did 2 songs, and both songs one of them I produced with my homie Diz. Disney Dad 420. He's dope. He's actually a mass guy, but he lives in LA now. Super talented producer. He's produced a bunch of songs for like P&B Rock and Rocky Fresh and a couple other guys, but just really dope bounce and just very talented. When I first met him, he told me he'd only been producing for 3 years. I was gonna kill him because I was like, my beats were terrible after 3 years, and I was like, you're incredible, and I was like that's amazing. But then the other song we made with Maya too was with my homie Thomas Tiba. And it was just so dope, and like Thomas and I work so great together. He's just an incredible human being as well, and super talented on so many different instruments, and he just knows music, and I feel like our chemistry is great because he just knows like what sounds good. And a lot of the time, even without me having to say anything, he just plays stuff that's just perfect, And so those 2 songs came out so great, and then they were looking for someone to mix it because I feel like the mixes weren't coming out 100% how we kind of envisioned them. So I was able to connect them with my homie Josh over at Phoenix Down, who I think does phenomenal work, is a great engineer, also dope producer, and he ended up doing the mixes for the project. So like it was just dope connecting all the dots there. So like between all that happened, and the songs were sounding great, like they were awesome. And then Billy hits me up like, I think we're gonna get Aaron Ray on one of the joints, and it's on one of your beats. And I was like, what? And like that kind of blew my mind, because like this is all cool, because I think all this stuff kind of comes full circle. Like The first song I ever made that was super outside my comfort zone, like, but I love like a ton, is like Not My Fault, the Rosewood Bape joint. I don't know if you heard that one, but it's kind of like a 80s soul pop kind of joint.
I haven't heard the song, but Rosewood Bape sounds. I know Rosewood Bape. I know
he's awesome. And so like when we first linked up, that was like the first like song that we made. We were like, oh damn, like we might be onto something. And so a lot of time when I get up with people, it's like, especially in the beginning, like I ask for like reference tracks or like what's the vibes, you know what I mean? Like what's the mood today, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he brought like a reference track and it was an Aaron Ray track. I wasn't too familiar with Aaron Ray at the time, and but that got me hip, and I was like, "Yo, this is sick! Like, I love the energy of this, I love the vibe of it." And then that spawned Not My Fault, you know. And then, you know, months later, when Billy's like, "Yo, I'm getting Aaron Ray on this track that you know that we produced," it was just like, man, you know what I mean? Like, you can't make stuff like that up, you know. So it's just like, it was just so dope, and the song came out so great. Josh's mixes were phenomenal, and just super proud of the whole project. It's like stuff like that. It's just like, it just feels great, you know, knowing that, you know, like just helping each other, you know what I mean? Like, Billy put us in a dope position to be able to help Maya. We helped try and put Josh in position to help us, you know, with the help overall of everything. And it's like, and it's just like, it's just dope. We all kind of, everyone helps each other, you know what I mean? And to make a great product at the end of the day. And so like, something we're all really proud of the music, and we can look back on and feel good about, you know, and like that's the best thing at the end of the day. Like, I always feel like I don't want to always work with just anybody, because the art means so much to me. So like, it's important to me to make great records, and it doesn't matter if that person has quote unquote clout, or if that person is new with, you know, no quote unquote fault, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's
whatever
like,
it is,
the biggest thing at the end of the day is making great music, and then because that, when someone hears something, they're gonna feel it, you know what I mean? And that's what matters at the end of the day. It doesn't matter the numbers and stuff add to it, you know. It's like that kind of like is a gauger to some extent, but you know, I'm big on feel. Do you feel something? And that's what matters to me.
Yeah, no, I understand that sentiment 1,000%. And it's funny you met Aaron Ray, because I don't. So what was the song you said you did with Aaron Ray?
It's called I think it's You and Me. Yeah, the song's called You and Me. It's
okay.
by Maya Craig and Aaron Ray, and it's produced by myself and Tiba. And the song's super dope. They both killed it. This like Maya killed it as a solo song, and then they put Aaron Ray on it, and it just went even went up.
That's
you know, and it
insane.
was one of those things that Aaron sent his vocals in, and then Maya's like, yeah, I gotta go back and add some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but it came out so sick. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's again said that friendly competition too. It's like, you always inspire us to, you know, inspires each other to become better. You know, and like that's what me and like myself, Melks, and Eddie a lot, and we always pushing each other to be great. You know.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to go check out that song, because I don't know Aaron Ray's like discography too much, but I've heard him on both Corday and Earth Gang. Their albums and other things too. I think I'm looking at now. I'm realizing like he was on with other artists as well. But yeah, either way, like Aaron Ray, like that's a name. I was like, wait, where have I heard Aaron Ray? And I'm like, oh wait, he's definitely on with Earth Gang and in Corday. But that's really cool, man. I'm pumped for you to be able to like have those types of relationships, and I agree with a lot of your sentiments you're making though too, about like you want that energy to be you know, real and like mutually beneficial, but also like you want to feel that energy. I mean, I feel that way on like, you know, the guests that we have on the podcast. Like I definitely, you know, I'd rather have someone on that I'm gonna have a great conversation with than someone that's just got like a shit ton of followers, right? I mean,
totally.
If those two things coincide, great. But that's not the point, right? The point is to, you know, coming on here to share something and talk about like something real and honest, and that's really the whole point. So I totally agree from that perspective. So I think you're moving the right way, and I just think too, like, you're gonna create longer lasting relationships, and just
absolutely.
I think and also too, like, that type of energy, if like you move that way, I'm not like a, you know, one of those people that like things happen for a reason, but I just almost feel as though like if you put that energy out into the world and that's like your approach, that eventually good things will happen for you. You know what I mean?
100%.
I just feel like instead of chasing clout, as you will, you have to do these things for the right reasons. You know,
exactly.
I mean,
you just nailed it. It's like people can do things, but it's like when it's not for the right reasons, you muddy it up. You know what I mean? You're almost blocking your own blessings, as they say. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've always been a big believer of just, you know, doing it with genuine intentions and real, and like I'm wicked bad at faking stuff. Like I'm bad at faking emotions. Like it's just like I wear my heart on my sleeve. So it's like if I'm faking emotion, it'll be written all over my face. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm just not good at that stuff, and like I'd rather take myself out of the situation than ever try and fake it,
Yeah. Oh, that's how you should be. I mean, I agree in the exact same way, and I think that's like I said, that type of approach I think just bodes well for you better in the long run.
Oh yeah,
no doubt about it. So I want to ask you too. So you've done quite a bit of work with MDOT. What are some of your favorite collaborations? Because you guys actually just recently had one just drop as well that you did one of his recent songs, correct?
Yeah, we've done a bunch. I know like some of the songs might have been like from a few years ago, but he's constantly still
he's
promotes
still,
them and stuff.
Yeah,
because they're great songs. You know what I mean? So it's
absolutely.
like, but yeah, we've done a ton. We're like I said, we're actually getting up again today as well with the first time in like a year with everything from COVID and stuff.
Right.
So. But like we've done some great music. I really like the stuff we made. Some of the first records that we made were actually at my mom's house, and so like he'd come by on like Tuesdays pretty regularly, and then we started just like getting up like pretty frequently and just making records and doing stuff from scratch. Like I'd make a beat live on my MP at the time, and he'd be writing on the spot, and then by the time the beat was done, he'd be done writing, and then we'd go and lay down the vocals, and so I loved always working like that way and to start because. It kind of was just, again, just natural. Just you don't overthink it. It's just all right. Whatever we make, like, just go, and then it just sometimes those come out the best.
Exactly. And his energy is infectious, just as a human being. Like he's
totally.
just such he's always just I can feel his enthusiasm when we talk even in DMs, right? Like it's just like, and then of course he had an unbelievable episode when he jumped on the podcast, but even the EMS guys they're another crew that are doing everything the right way. Like shout out to Rev and Mayhem and Core and all those guys over there. Like
totally,
they're another really good entity. In
they're unified and they move together, and like that's what's dope too. They're all super supportive of one another, and like that's dope. Like just like again moving as a unit. You know what I mean? Like that's how it should be.
Absolutely. And talk to me. So this is the one I'm enamored with, and there's a song that you've done. I believe you did it. If you didn't, please correct me. But of course you've kind of seen Token grow a little bit as well, and you were really a part of his early career, and you've seen where he's gone to now. Just recently dropped Dentures, which is a song I absolutely love. That song, man. That shit goes hard.
Hell yeah.
There was a song I believe you did that. I could be wrong. Did you do Republican?
I did. It was myself and my homie SK the Great.
Token, if you're listening to this, can you drop that on streaming platforms, bro? For Christ's sakes, man, that song goes insane, dude. I mean, I go back and I listen to or watch the YouTube like all the time, but that song is bananas. He just goes insane on that. But talk to me a little bit about working with Token and also just kind of seeing his growth as an artist too, because he's probably in terms of North Shore, Massachusetts, like he's got to be probably in terms of hip hop, he's got to be one of the probably the bigger names that we have in North Shore, Mass, because he's originally from like Salem, Marblehead. I know he bounced between the two, but
absolutely, he's a Salem native. Went to high school in Marblehead, and then now is out of the North Shore, but still represents the North Shore very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, like that whole thing, that whole journey with the whole, this was just incredible. You know what I mean? I met Token and two of their other homies, Colin and Trey, back when they were 13, 14, and 17.
Wow.
I was much older, and so at first, like it was like it was new for both of us. Like for me, like it started like I used to leave my card at my homie's barbershop in downtown Salem. Mm-hmm. He used to live I used to have the shop right next to the Salem State College, and so I met an artist or two that way. And just built great relationships with some of those people. And then my friend Adam, who owned the shop, it was called Pringles Barbershop. Shout out Pringles in Salem. Great barbershop, fresh cuts all the time. But I don't have hair like that anymore to go there. But if you do, he will never do you wrong, I promise. So, but Adam is the man. Like he used to always, just give me great feedback on stuff. And like, so one day he had this kid came in. It was a young Colin Mitchell, 14 years old, and he left a CD with Adam. And he's like. He's like, oh, I got a buddy that produces or whatever, and so he like left the CD with them. CD sat in my car for like a month, and then I ended up like finally putting it on, and like this at the time when like Young Money was really like starting to blow up and stuff. So like I'm listening to I go to put on the first song, and I'm like, all right, there's a bunch of younger kids making rap music. I'm expecting them to be kind of in line with a lot of the stuff that's on the radio right now. You know what I mean? First beat that comes on is like a Slaughterhouse beat. And then the next beat that comes on is like a Lloyd Banks beat. And then I'm like, yo, what the hell? Like this kind of caught me off guard because like this is stuff I listen to. You know what I mean? So I'm like, these are 13, 14, and 17-year-old kids, and they're bumping this stuff and rapping over these beats and not rapping over like the Lil Wayne and the Drake beats at the time. And I was like, that's dope. So you know, I was like, listen, I can't make any promises. Like, I just know that when I came up, I never had anyone showing me the way, and like I fell on my face more times than I can count, and like hopefully I can help you guys skip some of those steps. You know what I mean? Of falling on your face, and you know, I just, you know, we'll start slow. I don't want to make you part of anything yet. I just want to see like what we can do together and see if the chemistry's there, see if it makes sense for everybody involved, and if everyone's, you know, happy with the situation, and we'll kind of go from there. You know, and the whole idea again was just like, you know, how can I save them years of aggravation, of missteps, you know, where I can be, you know, hopefully expedite their process, you know what I mean, and help them along the way with achieving the stuff that they love to do. And like, they were super passionate about music, and like, but beyond that, like, I always wanted to be there to help them, like, outside of music with their personal lives and with school if they needed it, and more, and just to make sure that they had some, you know, someone they could always count on, and they have the best interest in mind, you know what I mean. And so that was it, you know, and so met them when they were 13, 14, 17. Again, very serendipitous moment. First thing, when I first met them, I ended up buying them tickets to go see Hopsin, because I knew that they were Hopsin fans. And so
I was going to ask you about this story.
and so yeah, so like they're mad young. We go there. I pick them up, and this is the first time I actually met Token at the time. At first I met Colin and Trey first, and then all three of them came to the show. So I picked them up. And you can just see, man, these kids are just like on cloud nine. Like, I couldn't imagine being, you know, being a young kid getting picked up to go to a hip hop show, like when I was in middle school, you know what I mean? By like someone older like that. Like, you know, like that was just like, you could see that they were just like, man, this is incredible, you know? And like just soaking it all in, watching the performance. And Hopsin put on a hell of a performance. Stu was doing like Black Spider-Man from the roof and like hanging from the ceiling and stuff and just going wild. Like, and like, it was just so dope, and never missing a lyric, just crazy breath control. And I remember, I'll never forget, like, this show, Token ran up to Passionate MC, who opened up and rapped for him. And I remember being like, this kid's 13 years old and just went up to someone that just performed with no hesitation and just rapped. I'm like, I don't know people my age that would do that. You know what I mean? Never mind like a 13-year-old kid. You know what I mean? Not only did he do that, but then he grabbed Hopsin outside, did the same thing. And Hopsin's like, yo, like, slow it down, gave him some advice, like, you know, you're into the fast rap, that's dope, slow it down a little bit, make sure people understand what you're saying, like, but he's like, yo, you're dope, like, you know, keep doing your thing. This is when he's 13, you know what I'm saying? And like, and then the fact that the very first tour we ever did was, you know, 3 years later when he's 16 years old, and maybe it might have been a little bit more. I think it might have been a little bit longer, but I know it's 2016, and then we go on tour with Hopsin, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, how does, like, life, you know what I mean? The fact that life works out like that, it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's too many moments like this to be like, this isn't what we're supposed to do, you know what I mean? So it's like, right. I'm super grateful for all the experiences, the good and the bad, because, like, it helps make us who we are. And, like, you know, with Ben and myself, it's been an incredible journey. You know, I love Colin, Ben, and Trey all to death. Like, I would do anything for them, and like make sure that anytime they never needed me, you know, I'm always going to be there, and like they know that, and like and they're just, you know, it's been awesome to see them grow and progress in their careers, and as young men, you know, like it's really dope, you know, and at some point it's tough too, because at some point you have to let them grow too, you know. So that's there's sometimes where, you know, when they're younger, it's easier to kind of set boundaries or ground rules for certain things and for some stuff, but then at the same time when people grow, you kind of have to let them fly a little bit too. So it's like there was definitely a time where, you know, we've been distanced, but then we come back even stronger, you know what I mean? So it's like the Homies record was a really special song for all of us, because we had gone through a period where we hadn't been communicating as strongly as we were in the past. And so when we started getting back up again, it was dope, because it was just like we both understood that we weren't the same people as we were when we met, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now, but our relationship is the same as you know, but it's just different. You know what I'm saying? Like the love we have for each other is the same, but just the relationship is different because we're in different points of our lives. You know what I mean? So it's like there's nothing wrong with that, and it's just about a matter of you know, growing together and figuring out ways that, you know, you can still be supportive of one another in other ways, in other capacities, you know? So it's been great.
So the Homies single, actually, that's actually a good point. You want to bring that up, because that was like a different change of pace for Token. I felt like 100%. That was totally, like, from what I'd heard from him in the past, like I think a lot of people out here, like they know him for that fast rap. They know him for like his sway his Sway freestyle and that
barring the hell out, you know what I mean? Like putting crazy words together and flows and patterns. Like that's what he was known for. He's known for going. I always remember this. I was talking about this recently, like because his videos have gotten crazy. Like you know what I mean?
They're
like,
ridiculous.
His videos are just nuts. But we always go back to remember you went viral because you were walking down the street rapping nuts. You know what I mean? At that point, your videos weren't even close to where they are now. But and it's dope to go viral with the entertaining factor with the videos and stuff. But just remember, like you went viral because of your talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's something I think that people forget sometimes. And like and like it's important to again have people like just being able to give other perspectives and shit. You know.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, big shout out to Token. I think, and I love what he's doing right now. He's trying to like. I think even he still gets, and I think a lot of people, this happens to a lot of people just in creatively, but people get kind of boxed into this one thing, you know what I mean? So that's why I love how Homies showed that different side of him, and I'm so glad to see, like, you got involved on production there, and he even talks a lot about that on Dentures, his newest single, where he's like, he doesn't want to be considered, like, the kid that was the freestylist on on Sway. He doesn't want to be like the fast rapper. He doesn't want to be the Twitter rapper or the YouTube rapper or whatever. Like he just wants to be a hip hop artist, a rapper, and wants to be known for that. So
he loves the art. You know what I mean? He's got a great deal of respect for the art. He loves putting words together cleverly in different ways he's a big supporter of the art first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being like that, like being a fan of these artists and these lyricists, you know what I mean? Not just like these like song makers, but these lyricists, you know what I mean? He comes from that school. So it's like, he wants always to make his lyricism prominent in his music, but it's like, there's other ways of doing that. Like, and that's what I think that he's like, experimenting a lot with now. And I think his new projects, people are going to be really, really, really proud about. They're going to be stoked on it. So
I'm excited for it as well. So yeah, big shout out to Token putting on for North Shore of Massachusetts. And another one of the last ones before I transition to the last couple of questions I have for you here. I knew you worked a lot with Suriel on What Can I Say, and I think that was just an unbelievable statement of an EP. So for a lot of different reasons, just the things that he had been through, and I'm sure he's going to come on very soon actually this upcoming week, and he's going to as we're recording this upcoming week, and he's gonna talk about it. But tell me about like you working with him on that, like what that maybe meant to both of you working on that project.
Yeah, I mean, it was a new project for both of us. He just came off doing like his first official project, and he was looking to put out like some music. I think when he first was starting to do it, like I think he had like a expectation of like, yo, let's just make like a couple three quick tracks and just like throw them out there for the summertime. You know what I mean? And I think once we started getting together and working, we realized like, it's not going to happen that fast. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that, like, the records are great and that they represent, the quality of the work the best way they can, and that, everything is treated properly. Because at the end of the day, too, it's like the music and the marketing is just as important to some extent. You know what I mean? The marketing is really what's going to help tell the story, and the storyline is really what helps people appreciate the music. So it was cool. Like, I remember the music video at first had the treatment for, like, a heist and this whole thing, and it was like, bro, you just made this whole album that was about this personal stuff you went through. It's like, why do a heist video? You know what I mean? Like it didn't necessarily like connect, So like I remember being with Thomas and Suriel and just talking about like dude, like just your whole project is about these things that you've gone through. Is like, speak honestly about it, and it's like why are you trying to create like a visual identity that doesn't even connect with what you're trying to say in your music, So it's like, once that kind of like resonated, like he ended up switching it and going and making the video as you see it today. And that was one of the best visual experiences of any music I've been part of, including Token and Joyner stuff. And they do everything at a very high level. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm really just proud of just the work that we do and how we represent our art and with the artists that we work with, because I feel like we try and do everything at a high level and capture the artist's true essence of who they are and their as people and their character and their personalities and to show their artistry, not just the music that they make,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think anybody that has heard that EP or hasn't, go check that out. And especially that video too. And you also did the last one I mentioned, you did a collaboration with, I want to, hopefully I pronounce this correctly. Is it Shamel? Is that?
Yeah, that's my dude. That's my dude, Shamel. Yeah. He's awesome. He's the crypto king right now. That dude be putting me on mad game. But no, that's my dude. Congrats to Shamel too on the birth of his son this past year. So super happy for him and his family. Just a really good guy. We linked up a couple years ago over IG. Just like again, like I'm a big fan of like, yo, if someone's dope, I'm gonna tell you. Like I don't care if I know you. Like right. even if like I don't even have like even if it doesn't work like intention of like collaborating right away, I'm just gonna be like, yo, keep shining, or like you're dope, like love your stuff, and then it may lead to a collaboration. It may just lead to a mutual respect and appreciation for each other's music, which is nothing wrong with either of those. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
And with Shamel, like we ended up linking up and we got together, and this is how it is too with some other artists as well. It's like we sometimes do one song and then it's like, oh word. Like now we're chasing that forever, you know what I mean? Yeah. Forever. So it's like we did one song and the shit and it was so fire, and then we started doing more joints, and then like we kept being like, but that first one, you know what I mean? And so like, but then it just comes to like building chemistry, and then we just kept making more records, and then it just, you know, all of a sudden we have more than we think, and then you have a project. So it's like we didn't go into it with any like set expectations. We just went into it like, let's just make some great music, and I think like it came together dope, you know. And like I love putting together like full projects too, because it shows the versatility of like all the different sides of like the production and the artist, and like the way things flow into each other, like the sonic identity of the project, and like how songs like transition. Like I love that. Like I come again from the background of albums, you know what I mean? Whereas like nowadays we're kind of in a single culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so like, but I love albums, you know what I mean? Like the way you listen to a whole album and like, you don't skip anything. You just let it play out, and there's a reason for it, you know. Yeah. So it's like,
I call it a wall worthy for me, because I got more records that you can't even see that are in the picture on the side here. But like, I agree. I was an album listener growing up too. That's what I was. So I come from that as well. Like I totally understand that aspect of it. So so of course we'll link all these projects in the description, by the way. So if you guys are interested in hearing all these, like totally check them out. We'll link them, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. And did you mention too last? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna ask. I didn't realize you had worked with Joyner as well. Would you work with Joyner?
Yeah. So Joyner, we did a song in 2015. This was actually another super just dope story. I made this beat, and I liked Joyner. I was a fan of Joyner at the time. I didn't know how I would work with him or anything like that. But so at the time, I made this dope beat, and I was like, man, this is sick. Like I could hear his voice on it. It's gonna sound crazy too, but like, 9 times out of 10 when I've said that in the past, even when I had no expectation of how it was going to happen, somehow, some way I've made it happen. Like there was a time where I said that about a Termanology beat that I made, and I was like, I'm going to get Term on this somehow. Again, no clue, no relationship at the time, no idea how it was going to happen. But now that song has Termanology on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Big rapper, Big Pooh from Little Brother. I love Little Brother.
Ooh,
like,
love
Little Brother. And
yes.
like reached out to him randomly because I just heard him on something, and then I saw he was doing a deal on Verses or something like that. This was years ago, and I ended up like copping a bunch of shit and gotten him on 3 songs, and I was like, this is great. Like these like so it's like I really believe that if I feel something strongly, like it will happen. I'll make that happen somehow, some way. Don't know how, but it'll somehow we'll will it to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with the Joyner thing, made this beat. I'm like, man, I hear this dude on this so bad. Like I can hear him killing this. Send it to him. I messaged him, I think on Facebook, and I think he sent me his email. And I sent him the email. It's back. He's like, yo, this is dope. You know what I mean? And and I'm like, he's like, oh, this is just like the vibe. I'm like, this is just the vibes I'm looking for, type shit. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, you know, I was just like super stoked. So at the time, I hadn't heard back for a while. And also too around this time I'm working at I lost one restaurant job because of music, and then I'm working at this other restaurant, and I'm having an opportunity to go out to New York with Token, and I'm about to produce a cypher. He's about to rap in a cypher for Team Backpack in New York City. So we both are about to go, and I had to call out of work. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get coverage. No one's covering me. So, because I'm like, you know, dicks, you know what I mean? Whatever. So, but I'm like, you know, we'll make it, you know. But I'm like, I'm going. Either way, I'm going to go. So it's like, I'm
You're
sorry.
Not given that opportunity.
Like, I need to go. So I lost my job. I ended up, you know, they're like, I'm sorry, don't come back if you're not going to come in. I'm like, all right, it is what it is. I love you guys. I appreciate you. But, you know, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I'm not supposed to be waiting tables. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up going down to New York. We get there for the cypher. I find out that the guys who I was going to produce the cypher for, they have an in-house producer in their group, and so they're like, oh, we're just going to use one of his beats. So I was like, ah, shit, like that sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, Ben's still rapping, so I was like, all right, I'll be able to see him rock still. So I was like, that's dope. So at one point, like, you know, it's New York City, you got to constantly pay the meter. I run downstairs to go pay the meter. I find out we get a parking ticket because I just missed it by a few minutes. Run back in and find out I missed Ben's cypher, and I'm like, dude, this day sucks. Like what the hell? Like
I'm gonna go home. I lost my job.
Yeah, like I'm just getting like owned today. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man. So I'm just trying to, you know, stay positive through it. I'm like, we're in New York. Like with this, you know, his cypher went great, even though I missed it. People are talking about it right now in the crowd. I'm hearing this shit. I'm like, oh, this is dope. So like, you know, we're trying to still make the most of the trip. And this is when we'd go down like early morning and then come back that night. Like we did this all the time. Like we would leave at like 7 in the morning, get there at like 1 in the afternoon, come back, and then like leave at like 10 or 11, and then get back like early morning the next day. And then he would sometimes have to go to school, or like we'd have work or whatever it may be like the next day. And it was wild. Like we do this all the time. And like, so I'm pulling into Token's driveway. I'm like, man, this has been a long ass night. Like just super tired. Like days, feel like I just got punched in the face all day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then like I'm pulling the driveway and I look at my phone and I get an email from Joyner, and it's saying, yo, I wrote a video treatment to the beat you sent me. Shit's amazing. Definitely using this. But you know, send more or something, you know, something along those lines. Wow. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? So that's when I was like, you know, at one door closes, another one opens type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, that was special. You know what I mean? And like, and again, another thing too with that, another one, it's like that song is a great song, and like a song that I'm wicked proud of, like of what he's saying on the record, like what the record involves. It's called Champagne for Everybody. Okay. It's got a great music video. Ben Prue killed the video with Joyner, Project 2, and it's dope. And then again, same deal. Like when we all went on the tour with Hopsin, it was Token, Joyner, and Hopsin. So I'm just like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like just beyond words. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Last night of tour, yo, we're in San Diego. E-Double wasn't able to do the show. He had a prior engagement of something that came up, and so he asked me if I could DJ for Joyner on the last show. And I'm like, of course. Like that'd be dope. Unbeknownst to me, Joyner goes a cappella and raps Champagne for Everybody like during his set, which I don't think he'd really done throughout the tour too much. And so that was just, you know, the icing on the cake, you know, too. With just being like, man, like this is beautiful scene. Like, and that's the other thing, DJing, like that's the other thing I never really get to speak on, but DJing is a crazy perspective to see people listening and feeling your music. You know what I mean? Especially when you're involved on the production and or engineering level. Then when you get to see from the DJ perspective, it's kind of mind-boggling. You know what I mean? Because now you see all the work that you did in these little, like, you know, these little pockets, and then seeing how the world opens up to and appreciates it, it's a blessing. You know what I mean? And you learn so much from that, to see how people move and what they vibe to and how they vibe to it. And it's like, that was just a special moment for me to be able to do that and to have, you know, when Joyner rocked that verse there. And like, I still think he's an incredible artist, and like, and I look forward to, you know, doing more records together. So yeah, it's dope. We've got a few more from the past that we put out. We did the Mother's Day song as well that he put out, and he kind of re-releases every Mother's Day. And that was a song I made. And then Knox co-produced that one as well. And again, another song I'm very proud of because of what it means. Like, the song's about his mother and like wanted to make her proud and like do right by her. And there's so many people that share that same sentiment. So it's like, yeah, again, like I'm really proud to be part of records that mean something and not just like, they're not just like nothingness. You know what I mean? Like, right. These are records that we try and bring out the best of people and they bring out the best in us, you know?
Yeah, and even for you, like, because you know you're having the studio in your mom's house at the very beginning, your early stages, like that probably is a cool like moment for you to be a part of, because you know your mom
100%
means a lot to you and helping you out with that.
She's my superhero.
Mine too in so many ways, like no doubt about it. And she's probably listening to this, so hey, what's up, mama? But yeah, no, in all seriousness, man, like. Hopsin's still doing it. I mean, he just dropped a song with NF that is Lost. That is
fire.
That shit went crazy.
Even the other one he put out too, I think it kind of went back to like the In My Mind type of Hopsin vibes, where he had like the different characters and personalities. Like, I just like that's the stuff again where it's like him speaking honestly about subjects that are going on today. Like that's the Hopsin that I feel like a lot of people fell in love with, you know.
And Hopsin and Joyner too, like even like a song like "Happy Birthday" by Joyner, like just both of those two dudes, their ability to actually story tell, I think is really something that not a lot of people talk enough about, or they don't get enough credit for. I think all the time is like, you know, I know that some Hopsin kind of gets that. I don't really share it too much, but I know he was getting a lot of criticism for just being like kind of not corny. Corny was maybe like the word I think some people were using, but I always saw him just as I thought he was a brilliant storyteller, somebody that I listen to all the time. Like his older records, like I still go back to those every once in a while, but I was heavy on those for a long time. I mean,
hell yeah,
and Joyner too. Like I think both those guys just as storytellers. I mean, I think Joyner's obviously bigger now than he ever has been in his career. He's probably he's hit his peak certainly in the last couple of years. But it's really great to see Hopsin back in it and like doing like songs like he did with NF. Like I've been replaying that one quite a bit. So
no, and Hopsin's fire. Like he produces all of his own stuff for the majority of the time, and he engineers all of his own stuff the majority of the time. And it's dope when people like that because like he's in control of his sound. Like you know what I mean? Like he knows what he wants his stuff to sound like. He controls that. You know what I mean? Which is ill. You know. So I love that. And like that was another thing too. Like when we were on the Canada portion of that tour, when he was, you know, he heard that someone was going to be putting out like a diss track or something like that against him, so he wanted to put out something like soon to kind of like nip it in the bud, you know.
Right.
So he's at like I'm on stage, and or no, I'm sorry, I'm on. We just finished doing like sound check, and like you know we go back in the back room and they're like, yo, you got any beats? Like Hopsin's trying to, you know, do something. I was like, word? Like, oh yeah. I'm like, but they're all on stage right now. It's like there's like my laptop's up there, just like, you know. I'm like, shit. So like I said, like, can I like airdrop and stuff, and then like not too long before that, like so when Token did the No Suck MCs contest with Kato, when he won that, you know, we've gotten really close with Kato over the years through you know connecting through that time.
So
and
cool.
then like Kato ended up producing a bunch of stuff for Racer Shavings, and then just, you know, we all stayed in touch. And so I was working on some loops and some samples and stuff, and I ended up finding this dope sample from like this record, and then sending that to Kato, and then Kato added some drums to it, and then come to find out he ends up sending that to Hopsin, and then like Hopsin ended up rapping on that and called it Bust That, and that ended up becoming that record, and that was like shot in Canada on tour on the tour bus, like, and it was just like it was so wild because it was just like I got him, like he's asking for beats, right, and then Kato's like, yo, I randomly get a message from him like, yo, I think I found a home for that beat we made. And I was like, oh, sick. Like, this is dope. Come to find out, like, they're both saying the same thing. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is crazy. And then, like,
that's awesome.
It's just like, you know, that's what, again, I'm so grateful for my experiences, because, like, these memories are the things that keep me going. And, like, they're so divine moments. You know what I mean? Like, stuff I can't make up. Like these, a lot of this stuff is pre-written in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, we're just walking it out. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the stuff is
good point. It's interesting.
It's like I can't I really feel that way to some extent, you know. But again, I think that's also how we lead our way, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your resume, I guess, like I said, I was saying that a little bit about earlier about Johan, but yeah, your resume, of course, speaks for itself as well. Like, the experience you've had, like, thank you for sharing as much of these stories that you have. Like, these are just so cool, and I'm sure you have plenty more. And I know we didn't get too much time to talk about the DJing and things like that.
Hey, well, that's why there's always another show.
We're
gonna
get you back. I was about to say that, John. I was like, we'll get you back on here very, very soon. I don't see that being a problem at all. I think this has been an amazing episode, and I've just been so blessed to have you on and have you share a lot of these moments with me and our audience, and of course anyone that's going to tune into this, and your fans as well, and your audience. It's just I just love what you're doing, and you know, just keep going and doing everything you're doing, because you're a great soul, man, and I just, again, we really appreciate it's great to have you as ours
Thank
you as Massachusetts, you know, and especially North Shore, and you hit close to home because you're a Beverly guy, and you know, a lot of this was rooted in Danvers, even though you're a Beverly and St. Charles guy. Like I said, I'll let that stuff slide.
No, but like, honestly, I'm just as grateful and appreciative and honored to be here too, man, because, like, you know, it's one thing to you know, music is something that it's it's dope because you have the creators, you also have the listeners, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes sometimes they're both, you know what I mean? But it's like you can't have one without the other, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's important to that people like that love music shine light on that too, and shine light on the people that help create and help do that behind the scenes. And so I'm super grateful for you and for your what you guys are doing, for your movement as well, and
Thank
shining
you.
light on all the creatives that expect, from Mass and more, that they're just trying to help and improve the landscape of music, and also
Yeah.
help increase the notoriety in Massachusetts, because there's so much talent out here that it deserves to people to know about.
Yeah, and share everybody's stories and like these amazing stories that I get. I feel very blessed to be able to sit here and talk to you guys and create relationships. And no, it's amazing for me. So again, I appreciate your kind words of us as well. I forgot to even mention this too, but Jon has been nominated for producer of the year at the Boston Music Awards and things of that nature. So you're just getting a lot of notoriety as well in the scene. So actually, one more quick question is, do you have any advice for anybody that would want to be getting into production and things of that nature? Like, if you had one piece of advice for somebody, what would it be?
A lot. There's a lot. Like first thing with anything, with any field that you get into, knowledge is power. First and foremost, the more you know about any field, from the production, the creative side, to the business side, it's only going to be leverage for you to continue to grow and to not only create more opportunities for yourself and the people around you. So first thing, know what you're getting into, know the business, know the music, learn music theory, learn music business, learn all these different things, because before you even go into it, if you don't know any of that stuff, you're already a step behind. Like, if you have no legs to stand on when something great happens to you, you're not going to have any legs to stand on the second time either. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to really learn that stuff. Again, all this stuff I've learned the hard way. Like, I'm grateful to be in a position where I can hopefully help other people not make the same mistakes that I did. You know what I mean? So
1000%.
learn everything. Learn everything. Like the business is so important because you got to protect yourself, in the long run. So definitely spend the time learning that stuff, Second thing, it's okay, don't try to fit in. You should be trying to stand out, because
I like that.
everybody, it's you can make stuff that's familiar, but put your own twist on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, find a way to make it yours. That's the most important thing, I think, with music, is having an identity. And that could be multiple things too. Like, for me personally, as a producer, I just love creating, and I just love music. So I make, started as a boom bap guy, but now I'm making like I said, 80s soul pop records. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you asked me 10 years ago if I'd ever make an 80s soul pop record, I would have laughed in your face. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but I've always loved listening to it. I just was like, I'm not talented enough to make something like that. You know what I mean? But it's like, you never know. And it's like, you just keep feeding your soul with more information and ways to grow. And if you love it, just nurture that thing. You know what I mean? It's like, give it the attention that it deserves too, just go all in and just learn, this is a labor of love. You know what I mean? And you have to fall in love with the journey more than the results. If you fall in love with the results, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, and it's going to be a long ass road for you. It's still possible to do great things, but I think in order to really do this the right way, I think you got to fall in love with the journey, And again, people do it for different reasons. Some people do it because they love the art. Some people do it because they see what you can do with the art and with some of the results you can get from it. Some people want to change people's lives and affect them in a positive way. Some people just want to party. You know what I mean? So it's different, for everybody. But I know what music did for me when I was a younger kid, and I know what the purpose and motivation that's given me as an adult. And music changed my life. You know what I mean? Like, R.I.P. to DMX. Like, that album,
Yes.
Dark and Hell is Hot, changed my entire life. It changed the trajectory of my entire life. And I'll never forget that, ever. And there's so many great memories I have through music and through song, and those things will always be there. Music is the friend that never walks away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good sense. No, so first of all, Jon Glass, there's some great gems for anyone that's trying to get into production and thinking about if they want to produce or anything. Really, I think that's just good Those are just good. That's good advice for anybody trying to do anything. I completely
Totally.
agree. I think that you have to have the right intentions and passions and things of that nature. So, dude, thank you so much for that. And I definitely wanted to ask you that, and just to give the little shed on light. Now I got some fun stuff though for you. I think you're gonna really enjoy these. So you're a foodie. You talked about that a little bit earlier. You love food.
Oh, yes.
You love food, and I've been noticing like you doing like all the food reviews and stuff like that. Like those have been really fun. It's like to tune into those and do you cook as well?
I do. So I've have my first like restaurant job I did when I was 16, and just I loved it. You know what I mean? Loved being in the restaurants. Love cooking. Love food. Love just learning like those different things. I just watch Food Network all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. You know what I mean? I enjoy food a lot, for sure.
Yeah, I've been getting into MasterChef with my family a lot. Like,
Great show.
We've been watching like every season. Like we've been binging like every season, like all the old seasons of that. So yeah, I'm getting into it too. I don't admittedly cook as much as I used to, because I have a house with my brother and my mother. My brother and my mother are fantastic cooks, and I'm just average. Like when I was living by myself, I didn't eat out every night because like I didn't want to, you know what I mean? You want to actually like cook somewhat. So I have a couple of dishes I can do, but nothing like I'm not the cook that my mom and my brother certainly are. So
I always equate food and music a lot together, because it's like, you make a meal, you make a production or whatever, and you show someone it, and then you can immediately get that instant gratification of like of like seeing them take that first bite or take the listen and be like, damn, that was awesome, or like this is good, or like that's always been so rewarding. Like I love that,
Awesome.
That's a special feeling to know you can put a smile on someone's face through doing those things,
Totally. So I completely agree. I'm gonna give you like a rapid fire here. So you can give me like
Let's do it.
Like question like like a sentence or two to respond to these, but just go rapid fire a bunch of questions. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So all right. So favorite food to cook, or favorite meal, like dish to cook.
Favorite dish to cook. Okay. Something with chicken. Something with chicken for sure. I don't know what, but if it's rapid fire, but it's something with chicken. I know that some chicken base.
Okay, awesome. So favorite restaurant in Beverly.
First one that comes to mind is this new spot that just came to my mind right away. It's called Butter Your Biscuit. They just opened up. It's new. It's very new. It's only been around for 4 months, or I believe like maybe even less. But like they just do everything really good, and it's super right. But if you were gonna ask like the young me, Tasty Subs in Beverly has a special place in my heart because of the pickle sub. And if you're from Beverly, you know what I'm talking about. I was right next to our middle school in Beverly called Memorial Middle School. And when you're a kid, you have no money, and so you walk to school, and then you used to get candy for like 25 cents there, 10 cents. So it's the illest, like nickel. Get all this bomb candy there. But they used to have these pickle subs with the best bread in town, illest bread ever. You can either put it with mayo or oil and pickles. That's it. That's all it was. But a small was 90 cents, a medium was $1.10, and a 1-foot sub was $1.25.
Wow.
So when you're a kid, you're like, this is heaven, and I'm going to buy one in the morning, and I'm going to buy one at night, and then like after school or whatever, and then I'm going to get it like, and eat it for lunch during the day. And so like Tasty Subs has a super, super special place in my heart.
That's amazing. I love it. Favorite spot in downtown Danvers.
Brothers, without a question.
Great answer.
Without question. People come to town just for Brothers. They don't even want to see me anymore. They just want to eat Brothers. So you know what I mean? So shout out to 7L and his family, because like that place is another staple. I used to go to Brothers when they were in Beverly for a long time, and like absolutely love the one in Danvers. Breakfast is one of the best around. Their food in general is just cooked with so much love, and the people there make you feel like family, and it is an amazing establishment.
It was Brothers or Supremes was the only two answers for that.
Supremes is classic too. I love when they do the anniversary every year. We can get like the throwback prices on the beefs.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. We used to, the oldies night is what they used to call that. Yeah. We used to. Oh my God. We used to go down there every year. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they had the huge ass line on front, and like, you go and you could get like 3 beefs, fries, and drinks for like $4 like
insane.
Total. You'd be like, what the hell is this?
I know. It's like, why? This is what stuff cost back then, and now of course inflation, but even still, that's funny. All right, so final question, last two. Favorite roast beef joint on the North Shore?
All right, so Currently, I think Jamie's roast beef is super bomb on Peabody. But my favorite growing up used to be Pizza Place Danvers, and I used to get a 3-way sub.
Hidden gem.
But the sub is special because they used to also toast their bread. No one used to toast the bread back in the day. Now it's become common practice. But Pizza Place was the only place used to toast the bread. They used to have the illest beef, like it was always mad, like melt in your mouth, and like the sauce and the mayo and the cheese was perfect, like. None of those sandwiches, world renowned. Every time people came into town that were not from here, you have to hit Brothers and you have to get a roast beef 3-way. It is mandatory. If you're in my presence, this is part of your visit. Okay, like mandatory.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. That is the staple. Is the North Shore roast beef 3-way. Absolutely. 100%. I've talked about that many times. It's one of my favorite foods. Gonna get one later with my girlfriend. She's obsessed with them too. So that's where.
Do it. Where you gonna go?
So we're actually gonna hit some golf balls at Richardson. So we're going to Charlie's over in Middleton. So
fire.
I like a great spot, but I like them all, man. Roast, obviously Nick's.
Nick's is classic.
Obviously Supreme's, right? Bill and Bob's, another classic, right? There's
Bill and Bob's Peabody is a gem because they do this one that put me on to a couple years ago. They do like an all-in-one sub, so it's like they do a 3-way sub, but then they also top it with onion rings and or French fries, and that shit was bomb because the onion rings give a nice little crunch, and it kind of takes over to like a whole nother flavor profile.
I gotta get on that jam for sure as well.
Really good, really good.
Dope. All right, final question on the food round. Favorite type of food, like if you like your last meal, like
Italian, probably Italian of some sort. I that or Mexican. I love Italian. I love Mexican food. Like, I don't know. I love just like the way they incorporate so many great flavors and like ingredients. Like it's always like mad different stuff. Like and like I'm not like huge vegetable fan, but I love vegetables in Italian and I love vegetables in Mexican food. Like love them, and I feel like I couldn't eat them without it. You know what I mean? And like so, those are two of my go-tos for sure.
Italian subs, bro. That's another one for me. It's
so good. So chicken parm, dude, for days. Like a good meat. Oh, have you been to Amazing Pizza in Beverly yet?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've been though.
Phenomenal. So they do everything scratch made in house. They make their own bread, make their own dough, make their own dressing, make their own sauces. They make scratch made pasta, which no one does. Like who makes homemade pasta? You know what I mean? They have homemade pasta every day, and you can get it with like chicken piccata or chicken parm or with the bolognese sauce. Everything there is outstanding. I've never had a bad meal there.
Love it. I'm excited. Yeah. So anyone on the North Shore, you got plenty of places now for the next probably like, I don't know, a couple months to go get food. So if you have, or if you're from the North Shore, you probably should have checked out some of these. But I haven't checked out some of these places, so I'm definitely going to go in and check those out. But thanks, John, for the food round. And then my final question on the podcast. Fans of Turntable Teachers, you know what's coming. All right, it's the dream song scenario. I'll break it down for you, Mr. Jon Glass. You get a song. You can make this song with any artist, dead or alive. Break it down for you. You get 3 artists on this song. Now, you're a producer, so you're obviously going to produce the track. You can get someone else if you want another producer like that you like can work with on the board. So we'll do one other producer for you to work with, and then 3 artists go on this song. So Jon Glass's dream song, again, any artist that are alive, who would be on it? Take as long as you need.
No, I think I already got a good idea.
Got it?
So
awesome.
Tupac would be the number 1 artist. And then as a second artist would be Kendrick. And then as the third artist, I almost, for some reason, my gut is telling me to say Erykah Badu, because I think that would just make something really special if I could hear Kendrick, Tupac, and Badu on a song.
Damn.
I think that would be bananas. And then as a co-producer, I feel like this is the greatest of all time as far as in hip hop goes and in rap, but you know, the Doc, you know, Dr. Dre.
You mentioned him earlier, so
you can't never go wrong with that. You know,
go wrong with Dr.
Because
Dre.
what he's done on the mixing side to the production side and everything in between, I've learned so much just from his career and from watching him and learning from him over the years, and like he's to me the greatest. Because nothing too, like he started as like a sample based guy, you know what I mean too, and like, you know, getting people to replay things or working more with musicians and the way he mixes records, like all those things are things that I care about so much, and a lot of that is because of him, you know. And so he's definitely like he's like that sound is something I've chased for my whole life, you know what I mean? And so I think he's he's definitely the greatest, you know, like as far as in the realm that I'm in, you know.
Oh, he's a goat, no doubt about that. He's on that upper echelon of producers, and especially in hip hop. I don't think there's much of a debate on that. So
Totally.
you can't.
Outside of
debate
hip hop, my favorite producer is like Quincy Jones, or like,
Ooh,
you know, like
yeah.
but hip hop, man, like Dre is just top tier.
Just next
you know?
level. You got it. Oh man, wow. We packed in quite a lot for a little over an hour and a half. But Mr. Jon Glass, what a legendary episode on Turntable Teachers, man. I am just beyond honored and thankful that you came on here and just shared with us as much as you have. And you know, your career speaks for itself. And obviously, we can't wait to hear more from you in the future. But of course, if you guys have not heard Jon Glass before, there's so many projects he's been on. We're linking them all in the description. Just make sure you go back, check them all out. Follow this man. So yeah, tell people where they can find you, so that way they can keep up with your upcoming releases and everything you got coming in 2021 and beyond.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, man. This has been awesome, and I definitely look forward to tuning in and checking out more of your guys' shows as well. So this is great, man. I really appreciate it. And so for check me out anywhere, at Jon Glass _. That's JON GLASS _. That's all over Twitter, Instagram, everything there. We also have a great website where you can check out a lot of our music and our videos and more content, sample packs for purchase and merch and stuff. We have nomasfree.com. That's for our NMF company. And basically all my contact information is in my Instagram profile as well, if anybody is ever interested and wants to reach out. But I just, I'm just a dude that's grateful to be doing what I love to do every day. I'm lucky to have an amazing support system of wonderful family and friends, and I'm just happy to be here, yo, and I'm super grateful for this, and thank you again for having me. And
of course,
and just trying to Duke Aran, one of my homies, who was a young Glasshouse guy. He had a line in one of the first songs he did, and he says like, "Aspire to inspire." And that's always stuck with me for my whole life since I heard that. And it's like, that's literally what we're here for, and is to hopefully help people feel inspire them the way they inspired us, and keep paying it forward and having a positive effect on the world. So
absolutely,
that's why we're here.
Absolutely, no question about that. And I am for sure inspired after this, and I think a lot of people that have stayed this long for sure are inspired as well. So again, thank you for being on here, man, and supporting, and thank everybody that's been tuning into this episode. We really appreciate it. Of course, you can find Jon and all of the on all his socials and website. They're going to be linked in the description as well. So go crazy, guys. Go make sure you go check those out. And of course, if you're a fan of Jon Glass, just comment on to us for the first time. You can follow us on Instagram at Turntable Teachers. Hit up our website, www.turntableteachers.com, for all the latest episodes, blog posts, all that good stuff. And make sure you subscribe to our podcast, whether it's on YouTube or whether you get on streaming services, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud. We're on all of them. So make sure you smash that subscribe button. And especially if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like and a comment. Make sure you support this man and everything that he's doing. And I don't think this will be the last time we get Jon Glass on this podcast. I think he will be a recurring guest at some point. But he is officially a Turntable Teachers alumni. So you are a part of the family now, brother. So
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. And again, thanks so much for everybody that tuned into this episode. Without further ado, I'm Mike. This is Jon Glass with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed. Turntable.